positioning or the hand management is different. It still exists, but it's different, right? Because you're talking about quest management as well. There's another layer added to it. But I expect great things.
Getting quite used to this Rami serious pose at the start of matches now.
Yep, we've seen a lot of the top of his head, that's for sure.
Killing, you can see the stress is getting to him. Look, there's a wrinkle on his duvet. In his usually absolute pristine room.
Yep.
Right. Well, he does have the glide, which obviously is convenient against the handlock if you time it correctly. And it's quite hard to time it particularly badly. Just play it at some point is usually enough to be pretty good.
Killen gives the nod at the Tusk Piercer draw.
Yep. Always nice to get these
draw. Yep. Means he has quest completion next turn without playing a single card.
Seems good. It's so funny. Right, Rami, just making sure he takes his time here. Neophyte will be useful later. He's got to work out how many cards he wants to hold, how much he wants to throw out there, how much he wants to avoid glides, how much he wants to ignore glides. And that all starts with planning right now with how much you're going to tap. Yep. Good. I find it always helpful in these sort of matches, even for myself, to play the first few turns really painfully slowly, just to get yourself settled down, and so you slow your heart rate down. Just chill in general. Just get everything functioning. Make sure you don't go racing off like some players do.
So this is a little bit of extra draw, but it does get one extra card reduced. That's the benefit to it. And now the question is, do you hold from this point? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, in general, I think people don't hold enough in this deck. Every card you draw surplus to a quest stage is just one thing harder to do on the next quest stage. So in general, just hold. You're not in a massive hurry to get things done. You know, a little bit of speed is nice, but you don't have to race too much. Which has made this timing from Rami quite interesting, because it's kind of messed up Killin's plans a little here.
Glad though is free quest completion through Colt Neophyte. He was never outcast in that anyway, let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's a win for Rami though, because obviously that's one glide gone. He can now work accordingly, as if sort of, okay, let's not play around glide anymore and hope you don't have the second one ever. Yeah, that's it, just get on with it. Back some fires and draw some cards.
Yep. Not happy with the way things have gone, though, and I think that's because he's just not finding any threats. He's getting to his deck, though, so if you build it, threats will come.
I mean, they absolutely will, right?
Ooh.
It's the deck of dreams. Well, you're not playing it from the left, Killin. Step one. Because he really doesn't want to spend his second glide without it being a game-winning play.
Yeah, but he can complete quests without it here and save that glide for post-Kurtrus.
Pleasure doing business.
Yep. Pretty rapid. It's not completely ridiculous, but given that Rami is low on threats,
Job done.
Killin's going to get 3 or 4 turns at it most likely. But like you said, Time to tap and draw into those giants and other big things. There's a big thing.
Yep, and I mean he needed a big thing this turn, right? Just because he knows that Kurtrus is coming down, and usually you need to make sure that you're at least threatening before Kurtrus can come down. So I think killinallday is in a pretty good spot from here. He's not under any sort of significant pressure. Not dead to Battlemaster, which is like the big benchmark when you play Kurtrus.
Muzzle their magic.
Yeah, Rami's just putting down as much as he can, which is basically nothing, but still alert enough to find that he does need to get more on the board, sad though it looks.
My quest, my revenge.
Yeah.
Killing just triple checking he can't get killed this turn, I think. Like, do they have commencement in Warlock? No? Okay, I'm good. Interesting.
Cold Neophyte is honestly, I prefer a Flesh Giant, but it's a reasonable pickup in the context of, well, you know, now that Kurtrus is played, the ship has sailed, so I need to try and protect this board at all costs.
The ship has more or less sailed. Has also made some space in his hand here to backfire next turn to get himself down to the 10 cards.
Yep.
Which will allow other threats to exist.
Killen actually incredibly close to just lethal himself. He's a talented Arcanist away. Draw off the top, it would be free, so he could go Il'gynoth, Double Moarg, Talented Arcanist, Fellscream Blast. Still needs to find a way to get there, though. This turn could just be like Immolation Aura and an Eye Beam. Very slow.
Yeah, and the scary thing if you do that is you end up, they raise dead, they play 2 more neophytes, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think he's got a better option. Wants to keep the combo intact.
And he's already seen a Raise Dead, so it'd have to be a second one. And it wouldn't be Raise Deading Giants or Scavengers or anything like that. So Rami, gonna get the Scavenger online. Really looking for Flesh Giant as well would be ideal.
No giant here.
Could still find it. I'm sure it's free at this point.
Another one would be cheap too,
Get accustomed to the smell.
obviously, because it always is, from about turn 3
Get
onwards.
accustomed to the smell.
Do we like this positioning?
I do like this positioning. Spread out the threats as much as possible.
Alright, Kennan's going to start off with the jump.
Yep, might as well. It's free.
People love free stuff. Triple Moarg. 9 mana needed.
Everything and everyone.
This seems like a decent compromise turn. This is going to obviously just be a mix of removing some stuff from the board, drawing some cards, gaining some health.
Pleasure doing business.
Yeah. And there's the lethal setup for next turn, so
Time grows short.
looking good. It's even preserved through Cult Neophyte. It is even preserved through double Cult Neophyte because that second, or both Fellscream Blast cost -1. So it would cost 1, which still leaves him with the 9 mana necessary to do it. So should be game over.
Rami, you need to triple Neophyte. So the -1 becomes
Computing.
positive. -1. Yeah, I mean, from where we're sat, obviously we know it's over next turn. Where Rami's sat, he's got to try and present lethal every single turn that he can. And he only really represented a really weak lethal like twice, and they were both never happening. This is a decent looking turn. Obviously, we know it doesn't matter, and I think he knows it doesn't matter as well.
Well, maybe not. There's still 9 cards left in the deck from his perspective, but he has to have known. And there it is, killing all day. Game 1, pretty smooth sailing, to be honest. Had a weird opening with Il'gynoth on the far left, but was saved by the Tusk Piercer and Sigil being the 2 pickups outside of that. And being able to get the Cursors down safely on 5 is kind of the biggest thing you need to pass in order to kind of get that ball rolling. So one down for killing all day, 2 to go, and I can feel the stress, honestly, from both players in this instance. It's quite the big match for both of them, I'd say.
Yeah, in a weird sort of way, this is one of the first times that Rami's really had any pressure on him. Because when he started this run, it was so many wins needed in a row that he probably just didn't believe he was ever going to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll turn up, I'll probably get relegated at some point in the next couple of matches, so be it. But now he's got to this point with last week's final, with the run he's had this week, where this is it, this is the end. You have achieved what you needed to achieve this particular season from where you were, with one more win. And suddenly your brain starts going, It stops thinking about, oh, this is easy, I've just got to keep playing Hearthstone, just got to win some matches, see where I go. Suddenly it's like, oh no, now it matters. It actually can happen. And see so many people seize up when they get into those positions. He hasn't done, but he does look more tense than he has in previous weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah, it certainly does. And obviously the series isn't over yet. That's a tough loss to have to take. But Killing All Day is going to move over to Anaconda Druid. One other thing, actually, that I wanted to talk about was the current points, right, for Americas in promotion. Killing All Day actually is in the mix. He's in that big mess of players that's at 6 points, which is basically a tie for 16th. Currently, that's only 2 points behind promotion, which is still entirely possible. I mean, it's entirely possible for any Americas player at this stage with 2 Masters Tours left in the cycle. But Killen already has some points available to him, which does mean that he could get a little bit of extra juice.
Yep, you get 6 points for going 6 and 2. A few players on that score. Only a handful of players. I think Kelly's Luna's 1 on 8. And then we have the likes of Ego Waffle on 6 as well. And the system there, as long as you get to 6 wins, is quite complicated, but it does resemble the complicated system we have here. It's basically a point per win.
Basically a point per win, yeah. And assuming you get the minimum amount of wins.
Yes.
In order to earn points.
Yeah, you can't just rock up to Masters Tour, get 2 wins and get 2 points.
Yeah, and Rami's points have expired since he qualified for Grandmasters. That cycle was ended in the previous cycle of Masters Tour qualification, so he would be starting from 0 if he wanted to attempt to requalify. So,
but the way Americas is, if they just win 1 tournament, they will get back in. Like that's not an official statement, but the very, very ridiculously strong likelihood is if you win a tournament, a Masters Tour, as an Americas region player, you will become a Grandmaster.
Is it 15?
It depends, I think, on what your Swiss was, because you get a +1 somewhere along the line, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah. That would put you in first place for non-GMs. Leandro Leal and Pescoa lead right now. Actually, it's 3 Brazilian players, Leandro Leal, Pescoa, and Digo, that lead right now for Americas with 13, 13, and 11. So
cool.
All right, moving into this match. We've talked about Handlock versus Anaconda Druid quite a few times. Rami has Soul Rend, which is a big deal to be able to deal with a potential Glowfly Swarm early on. Wow, Killen going to go for Nourish for Crystals and Guess the Weight. This is purely a move for hand space, since his hand is almost entirely draw at that point.
Yes.
and he just needed to make the space, and now gets the double draw from Guess Away. Will be overloaded, but actually negates that with the Nourish for crystals, so we'll still have plays next turn. Ideally, he did an Overgrowth, but doesn't have it for the time being.
Yep, although obviously he's drawn enough cards that it's quite a likelihood that he can just pick it off the top 10% of the time, pretty much. Fungal into it, obviously. Glowfly is going to be a pain. Glowfly Storm's weird, right, in this matchup, because it allows your opponent to Soul Rend and get through a lot of cards, but it's a lot of cards they burn, which is actually relevant.
Yep. Alright, so
pick up the Overgrowth.
he got rid of something. Alright, it was Claw Machine, that's fine. Anacondra is still intact.
Huh.
And it's actually like not a terrible thing for killing because his hand would have been full.
Yep.
He would have burned a card anyway.
He's not good at Fungal Fortunes historically. Always hits minions, so he knew it was coming.
Yep.
Tough one, this, because it involves not just your next turn, but how you intend to play the game. The Overgrowth is losing its ability to grow the mana crystals.
It has the option to Solar Eclipse Best in Shell next turn.
That's interesting, for sure.
Yeah.
With Arbor up in hand.
Build a board in a box.
He can also just trade it away and get a proper card from his deck. Don't think he's got time to build a board in a box.
No. Feral Rage is probably the best option in this situation, just for the armor gain to buy some time.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wonder.
It all depends what his plan is with this Best in Shell Solar Eclipse, right?
yeah, it does.
It looks to me like his plan, because he's taking the Power of the Wild, is to just do the Best in Shell thing and then buff the turtles. What's going on? Load of 2/7s.
This is
How can
so annoying. This is so annoying.
Computing.
Oh, wow. Druids always had annoying taunts, though. It's just never really needed them 99% of the time.
Yeah. Like, this kind of just gives me a headache looking at it. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I just want them to go
What
away.
do you even do? Do you just get through your deck with Soul Rend?
Yeah.
Oh,
You find a way to Soul Rend this all away so you don't have to look at it anymore.
yeah.
Otherwise, you just rope out because you just stare at this million health of taunts for the rest of the turn and you're like, I don't know, can't process this. So you just Soul Rend it all away and then never look at it again. Because who wants to look at this? No, he's actually going to try and chew through them. The old-fashioned way. One at a time.
Yep.
Which actually looks really good now it's on the board. Trying to work out if anything in Killing's hand actually does anything. It all looks great, but then you look at what all the individual cards do and they don't do anything right now.
What to do?
Feel like you want to start with a lunar eclipse on something. You've got to plan it all carefully to get the maximum efficiency out of it.
Yeah.
How about...
I wonder.
Is it possible to like force a soul rend? I don't know.
The trouble is you die if you're not careful, right?
Yeah. It's again, it's very difficult. I'm not used to it. I'm sure the players aren't used to this much board tension.
Because he just dies to hit you with 2 giant soul and battle master in some setups here.
Yeah, he's going to make it as awkward as possible to soul rend and push everything through. He's willing to take the damage in order to make that happen.
Well, ending with a 5/9 turtle seems like a number you want to end with.
Yeah.
So is he dead to battle master given the soul rend is there?
No. I don't think he's dead to anything. Because Rami can like start with Soul Rend, which would get rid of 2 cards from his deck, bring it down to exactly 10, and then Bloodshard Bristleback one of them. But then he's pushing 8 damage through. I mean, it's still possible that that's the right play. Put Killing down to 5, and then you have an 8/3 on board and a 3/3 on board.
I also thought he had 10 mana for some reason.
If he had 10 mana, then yes, it would.
Still wouldn't work, I don't think. Yeah, because it still makes it really awkward to trade him properly.
No, he would have it if he had 10 mana, because he'd go Soul Rend, Drain Soul the lower health turtle, Bloodshard Bristleback the higher health turtle, and then push 16 to face.
Right, let's see what he ends up going with. He's got to, whatever it is, he's got to do it quickly. Oh. I think D6 Warlock has scarred me for life. Whenever I see a rope burning now on a Warlock turn, I'm like, no, you've got to go!
Ah, he dumps the next Drain Soul just to play around the second Arbor up, killing him?
Yep, seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Right, Killin now has the same issue coming back at him, that he's dead if he's not careful. And it's really irritating because he can kill the 2 giants, but you do not want to leave a Tamsin up for a turn. Oh my goodness, that's scary. Okay.
Just there's Glowfly and double trade. That's all I got.
Yep, you don't want to do this, but yeah, maybe there's not that many spells left that are gonna terrify you.
Yeah.
A lot of options here. Like Backfire is the most obvious one. But
Yeah, I mean, he's not really under threat of dying. It's just about finding one more thing. He effectively just needs to stick one thing, because Killing All Day is out of removal, and he can't really have a pop-off turn. We can see that he can. If he draws Anaconda off the top, he very much so can. Also has to think about like Cenarian Ward and not going, you know, too deep.
yep,
Into like all in on the board.
I like this from Rami. Just found a way to activate his minions.
Yeah. So at this point, it basically is Anaconda off the top or bust for Killing All Day. He doesn't have any way to clear this board, and even then,
Oh no.
it'll still be pretty tough. Fungal Fortunes that ain't it.
Any way that he doesn't play the fungal force, because if he plays it, you know, Anaconda's got a good chance of just never being burned, and then how does he even live? He can't win without the Anaconda, so he can't fungal, I don't think. So does he have to nourish? But what for? Ugh, it's horrible.
Yep, and there goes Anaconda. You can tell by the slight delay in the cards actually being drawn that a minion has been discarded. Rami's pumped again. ties up the series, gets through with the Warlock, which honestly, I think that's just a pretty decent matchup for Warlock. Like, even if you factor in Celestial Alignment, a lot of times they can maneuver themselves. They do have like these huge abilities to clear boards with Tamsin plus Soul Rend. And if they can just stick a threat in the early game, by early game I mean turn 5, turn 6, right? It's very hard unless the Druid has a near perfect curve to overcome that. So
it's good to get that handlock out of the way as well. I think in Modern Conquest, it's one of those weird decks that it's good, but everybody brings things that can beat it, so it can just get stuck in the mud a bit. Again, Killing actually brought Quest Rogue, and Rami was forced to ban it largely because of it was Quest Rogue, yeah. Largely because of this.
Yep. All right.
Right, Rami on the good old-fashioned Garrote Rogue. Combo decks like they were when I was a lad.
Oh, this is much stronger than the combo decks when I was a lad.
They only did 14.
Yeah. Well,
this one does 70.
It can do a lot. It can certainly do a lot. So Rami, I think, still has not the greatest record with Garrote Rogue. We need to say he's still at a negative record, but many players are, because it's been an expected bring in a lot of weeks, and players have tried to target it. Though it's very hard to target nowadays, players tend to just ban it away a lot of the time. But it's going to be Handlock for Killing All Day up first, and this one is, again, just sort of a race to those threats. You have the ability to clear their boards, but you don't really have an ability to protect yourself from a combo outside of Cult Neophyte. So it's about these massive turns where you present too much for your opponent to remove, and at the same time try and block them with the Cult Neophyte so that they can't kill you on that turn as well.
It's a weird matchup, right? Because I think it's favoured for the Rogue reasonably strongly, but whoever wins it always looks like they should win 100% of the time. Like, sometimes the handlock just goes, here's 2 flesh giants, oh, you haven't got a way of stopping them, oh, I won.
Yeah.
And the game just ends, and you're like, well, why doesn't that happen every time? And other times the handlock sort of does a whole load of nothing, makes a board, the Rogue pops off and kills them, and you're like, oh, why doesn't that happen all the time? And it's very difficult to get it's not a flowing matchup. It's not a matchup you can describe very straightforwardly. You sort of have to watch each game as they come with a few basic rules.
Yeah.
I'm obeying the first basic rule, which is don't keep terrible cards in your opening hand. Good start. Killing trying to map out how this all works with the null. Probably actually trying to map out the giant in that opening hand and whether there's any way he could get it down suspiciously early.
Yeah, I think that just going about it the old-fashioned way is probably best. Draw your giants for free off the top. Awkward start for Rami. He doesn't have any of the real high-impact cards. Looking for Octobot, looking for the field contact, even Secret Passage, Kazakis. All of those things are good things.
He just has a whole hand of removal. Hasn't even got any fetch or anything. This is terrible. And one thing that can happen with Rogue, if you do get into this situation, there's no guarantee you're going to get out of it for 2 or 3 turns. Most decks, like Demon Hunter, you get in this position, you're like, no great shakes, I'll just draw a card draw next turn, I'll be fine. But Rogue can just pick up a 1 thief or something now. But he gets the passage, he can go. You'll probably prep it because there's so many more options available if you prep it. Gives you a chance of hitting a Shroud, which is a big deal. And he misses everything. Probably wants.
Well, I mean, he could Yeah, he could Octobot Shadow Step it, or just leave it there. But obviously, let's take a look. Okay, let's just to double check. There is the one unstable Shadow Blast, since he is playing a Spice Bread Baker, so there's a chance that it just dies.
Probably launch the Plunderer into the void as well while he's at it, just to make some space, because he urgently needs to pick up better cards.
Yeah, but like it's feels like such a necessary card for later, especially if you have a slow start, to swing the board back. He does have one on the other side of his hand, if I'm not mistaken, on the other side of the secret passage.
Yes, he does. He does.
Yeah. And you're giving your opponent like a mortal coil. I don't know. I don't hate that he didn't play it.
The mortal coil swings it for me, actually. That's a good point. I mean, throwing it away, I think, is okay. I know you need it later, you shadow step it, but you just use one of your shadow steps, so not as good as it would have been. But yeah, the fact it can get mortal coiled is quite a big deal, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm sold, TJ. Buying it.
Sold to the man with the hair.
Hey, I can't help having hair.
You absolutely can.
Sure. Okay, hey, I can help having hair.
There we go. That's better.
Sorted that one out really quick.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's not sorting out really quick is Rami. He's just got no sorting available to him.
No, he's in the tank right now, but I don't think he's going to come out of it with anything good.
So many options.
The main question is, do you want to save some mana from the future and proc the Octo? But it's just so cheap to do anyway. It just sort of seems futile.
Choose soon.
So he's probably envisaging, what do I do if my next card is field contact? What's my play then? And he decides he doesn't want to take damage from this null, so this is actually being played to challenge it as much as anything else.
Yeah.
Here for the tour?
Yeah, I think we can. I think the question there was, is this worth like a backfire?
Mm-hmm.
But I think just protecting this null that Rami has proven is difficult for him to deal with. Still drawing a card, getting a little bit further into the deck is just fine.
Yeah, the backfire will still be there. Next turn, you're not really putting the pressure on for a turn or two either way, so end up drawing an extra card by doing it this way, even though it looked more mana efficient to play the backfire last turn. It's a weird illusion that the neophyte can make, right? It gives this illusion that you're being mana efficient when sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
Rami can be mana efficient, can play his whole hand. It would be useless. Just have to take it, I think. Jeez.
I don't even know.
I think you take it because if you draw a field contact next turn, you can Octo, fling a pen at something. You can draw a lot of cards with that second cheap Octo that you would get from the first Octo proc.
Efficient is sufficient.
I think I'd have pushed my luck one more turn, but you know, looking at this on the board, it seems fine as well.
Yep. It will get killed for no value, and that's a Shadow Step and an Octobot gone, which are two pretty big resources. Dylan can backfire and then get this null online.
Let's look at that the other way, TJ. Let's say that Octobot is actually just bait. It's bought him a turn almost. It's, you know, a lot of situations Rami would have killed it a different way to this if he hadn't got the second null. And yeah, Rami is just having a no field contact kind of day.
No, nothing really. Like, no Swindle, no Shroud, no field contact. Saw Kazakus in the secret passage. Wasn't able to play it.
It was Kazakus with a candlestick in the conservatory.
Cluedo!
Options.
Hey, you remembered?
That's Cluedo.
That's an upgrade.
I don't know why the doe's on the end. It's great. Like, even to me, that's amusing. And that's all
Yeah.
I've ever known it as.
Yep, it's quite amusing. Killinallday's got to be wondering what the heck's going on. He knows it's a free Octobot in hand, but I mean, I'm sure he's played Garrote Rogue enough to realize that this just happens sometimes. Killin has what, 2 tour guides and a null in the Raised Dead pool.
At least. But yeah, I think it's that.
Yep.
You say this happens sometimes. I think this is an extreme example. Usually when it happens, you at least get the illusion you're going to get out of it. Like you find a shroud or something and then you don't hit your field contact and then you get to swindle and then you don't find your field contact. This is really unusual that he's just not finding... What's happening? What are these cards? Get out of here.
Yeah, he's dead. I mean, he could stay alive on board.
The only decision he could even have possibly made differently, and I wouldn't have made it
So
differently,
many options.
was delayed the secret passage a turn or two.
Hey, loser.
And as it happens, that would have allowed him to play Kazakus, let's say. But he's had no chance to do anything tricky to stay alive in this game.
No.
He's not even had a draw at it.
Yeah.
He's not even hit a Wand Thief to try and find a cram session or anything. It's bizarre.
Incredible.
Yep, all of these things are correct.
Is sufficient.
I was just going to see how long it can make you go, yep, no, to be honest. I was quite enjoying myself. He's all in. Look at Killing. It's like, shall I proc the Octobot now so he reduces no cards? What's going on? What's this board? I think it's the correct... Well, it can't be the correct play, can it? Actually. Like, realistically, your out is to hit a field contact.
Yeah,
Needs something to
but I
block.
think he realized that even if he hits field contact at this point, he just loses. I don't know.
Agree. Yeah. It's the only way to
This is
stop
just
the board.
I need to get this out of my head and think about what's next kind of play.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not dissing the play at all. I think it's probably wrong, but it doesn't matter. It's not changing anything. It's one of those plays you talk about endlessly if you're me, because I talk about everything endlessly.
And
But specifically to find the right play. Sorry.
he's still gonna make sure that he does the best possible play and the best possible. Quite good, putting a ton of power, healing up a lot. And there you have it. Killinallday 2-1 up in the series. 1 win away from at least staying alive for one more series. We'll give you guys a better lowdown of how the relegation picture will look after the series regardless. We do know that if Killinallday loses the series, he is guaranteed relegated. So now he's one step closer. And the final deck remaining for Killinallday is the Druid, which we did see him lose on. He's got a mirror match on the other side, with Rami also having the Anaconda Druid. And then the Garrote.
You got Rogue.
Yeah.
So not all over yet at all. Yeah, you say Garrote, I say Gutato. I don't know, something like that.
Looks like we're gonna get a Druid mirror, I think, for this game 4, which is weird, exciting in its own right. It's like
It's
giant game of chicken.
throwback to last season with everyone just trying to play Glowfly Swarms quick. Giant game of chicken. Elaborate on that. I assume you mean to do with celestial alignments, right?
Yeah. Celestial alignment, like. All right. Do I think my opponent has? follow up because I'm spending my whole turn making their turn stronger in some cases.
Yeah, because your deck is built to work around alignment, but so is theirs, and they go first. Yeah. You just never play it, TJ. You just never play it.
Oh, you play it sometimes, but yes, it's...
Rami's hand. In any other match, he could just do the alignment. That's some good stuff.
That's some good stuff right there.
Yep.
Whoa! All right, we got ourselves a match.
Yeah, different opening decisions. That's going to make this interesting.
Yeah, so Rami's goal with that mulligan is to look for Glowfly Swarm or Lady Anacondra, one of the two. Glowfly Swarm can end a Druid Mirror quick. And Rami, theoretically, can get his Glowfly Swarm out first because he's on the coin. Obviously, that's not always the case, but because of Lightning Bloom's existence, but it's a cool little play. Throwing away Overgrowth is very interesting.
And it means he's thought about it a lot, because that's one of those plays, if you're not sure, you don't do it. Like, who throws away Overgrowth apart from a beginner?
Yep.
Or
That
somebody's child pressing the keyboard by mistake, or someone who's thought about it a lot.
That should tell you exactly where Rami's mind is. Instead of picking Overgrowth, even from the nature studies, picks Pride's Fury. His mind is on one thing and one thing only. The game, though, just really wants him to have an Overgrowth. Like, here's an Overgrowth in your mulligan. I know you want to ramp. And then his nature study was like, you really want to ramp. Trust me. Here's another one. Bobby said, no. And his Fungal Fortune, the game said, no, really this time. You want the Overgrowth.
When you say it was a giant game of chicken, it's not between the two players, it's between the game and Rami.
Yeah.
Dare you to play this Overgrowth, kid. Not doing it. Not even once. How about this one? Alright. Now he may just want to change directions. Because now he has Overgrowth into the good stuff. So hopefully he's not... I'm just going to ignore what's happening in the middle of the screen. Hopefully he's not sort of set on the play he had gone for in the first place, because it might be a good time to change direction here.
Yeah, because both players' camps are still intact, it doesn't appear that this is like a fault of any of the specific players, right? It doesn't look like anybody's disconnected. It might just be an issue with the game. So,
yep, let's hope.
Yep.
Right, we're back there now.
All right.
And the game did force Rami into overgrowthing after all. It's like, we're not going to let you do clever things in these parts.
Nope.
You're playing that overgrowth. I wouldn't have played it. I wouldn't let the game dictate to me what cards I play.
Yeah. You tell him, Neil.
Which is why Rami's a Grandmaster and I'm not.
Get this game out of my game.
All right, that's some glowfly swarms. You can see why Rami made his original mulligan now. Look how good these glowfly swarm is going to be.
Oh, yeah. You just wait.
Also, just while we're talking here, ironically or something here, Killin's still got an overgrowth in his hand. Despite the fact he kept one in his mulligan. It's all gone wrong everywhere.
The second one's a little risky just because you're spending so much mana to get mana when your opponent could just Celestial Alignment you. It's one way to like equalize the field if your opponent's so far ahead of you in ramp. Though it's still very risky. It looks like Killin will be able to get this first Glowfly Swarm down, and he's got the follow-up to it as well, right? He's got the Solar Eclipse plus Arbor up, so this is for Rami to try and think of, what happens. Do you just play a Claw Machine here and get that Anacontra out of your deck?
Or try to,
It looks like, or try to, yep. And for Killin, I think this is a pretty simple, just Glowfly Swarm, Hero Power, and say, all right, let's duel.
Yeah. Not the right time to lose the game of Celestial Chicken. Just lose the game on the spot.
Yeah.
So, Glowfly duels. How much can Rami pick off? He's got, obviously, the minion on the board. He's got a Lunar Eclipse.
And, yep, that's it.
Cool. Good talk.
Talk. Yep.
Anyway, he can stay alive through an Arbor Up. Well, he should stay alive through an Arbor Up most ways, actually. Just killing one minion would do that. But it's Solar Eclipse Arbor Up, which is a bit more terrifying. Killing has available. Huh.
Needs to kill 3. Looks like he's going to Glowfly Swarm, and that means it looks like that'll be it. 30 damage. Available for killing all day.
Yep, Rami, last 2 weeks have been incredible comeback for him, but just couldn't get the cards he needed today. He even went for it in the mulligan. So he's going to have to sit and see how Killing does tomorrow. But Killing all day gets through one more hurdle. He will have one more to get through tomorrow for survival. But he needed this one. And he is now going well. And Luna is another person who will be happy with this result.
Yes, right. That does mean Luna is safe, or the most likely, because now Rami cannot pass Luna because Luna beats Rami on tiebreakers. They both have a finals appearance, but not a finals win. Luna has 2 quarterfinals appearances, where Rami only has 1 outside of that. So Luna has the best results tiebreaker ticked off.
She has 2 horses now, not 1 horse. So
yeah,
and they've both got to pass her. So yeah, she's in a better spot than she was. But Killing all day, surviving once again, maybe.
Yeah, actually, there is a way for both Eddie and Killing all day to pass Luna.
There is, yeah, there absolutely is. But at least they've both got to do it for her now, not just one person.
Yeah, they're on separate sides of the bracket. So Luna isn't fully safe, but it would require a very specific scenario of Eddie winning the tournament and Killing all day getting second, if I'm not mistaken. Because Killing all day with a second place finish would move up to 10 points, which would pass Luna. And then Eddie with a first place finish would move up to 10 points as well.